Show. Mr. Dan Geltrude coming to us from Nutley, New Jersey. Dan, thanks for being on.
Hey, Scott.
Yeah, how are you? All right.
Good.
I don't know. How are you positioned with what Trump's got to be saying about these tariffs? Maybe raising enough revenue to maybe cut taxes or maybe eliminate taxes for a large part of the paying public.
Well, let's start with this. Tariffs are not going to replace income taxes. It just simply can't work. And let's look at it from a numbers standpoint, right? So income taxes generate about $2.2 trillion in annual revenue. Our tariff revenue is even on the high side about $100 billion. So where we are right now, Scott, that's tariff revenue is only about 5% of what we collect from income taxes. So in order to make this work, you would have to have a massive tariff hike. And let me tell you mathematically why that would be really, really difficult. We have about $3 trillion worth of imports. So let's say you tax that at 100%. That would be about $3 trillion in tariff revenue. It's still, and that there's no guarantee that would happen. Obviously, you go to 100%, Scott, not going to work. But that just shows you how far apart we are related to what tariff revenue would need to be versus where we are with income tax. Sounds good, not going to happen.
So it was nice to see, though, him put a number on it, right? We've been hearing about him saying that we've got all this tariff revenue coming in, and it seems that the first month, if I read things correctly, came in around $15 billion. Is that true?
Yes. Yep.
And so, I mean, you could, if you want to interpolate or extrapolate that out all the way for 12 months, that still shows us way short of the line.
Right. It's not going to work, Scott. And not only that, I mean, look, we're talking about the numbers here. But in reality, politically, this is not feasible. I mean, there's just no way with how slim the margins are for Republicans right now. There's just no way to get that through. And if you look at what the result would be if we made this move, in my opinion, imports would crash. Actual revenue would likely be far lower than what the tariff projection could possibly be. You'd probably have pretty severe inflation. You'd have job losses. You'd shrink the economy. So I can go on and on. It's just not going to happen. Now, a hybrid of, hey, tariff revenue and some reduction in income tax, yeah, I think that's workable. But even with that, Scott, there's a lot of countries that the Trump administration still has to negotiate with. So we're in the middle of this thing and really putting the cart before the horse.
You got to be careful about doing that, number one. Number two, he's talking, I think they've got this new plan of 6 countries a week because it has been so daunting, all the deluge of all the information that they've tried to have to get through. Also, I think it's going to be, pretty interesting. They have to get something out there, and they probably have to get something out there within the next 2 weeks, preferably this week, with a name on it and a country and what the tariff's going to be to give that market a win. And I also think that we have to, before maybe Memorial Day, get that tax cut through Congress as well, right?
Absolutely. And so when you're talking about you're going to negotiate with 6 countries a week and get a deal, you have Republicans that control Congress, and they can't even get together quickly on getting the tax bill through. There's some real serious issues and divides in the Republican Party. One being the SALT deduction, and then the other being, the ones out there, the budget hawks that don't want all this spending. So they're, in my opinion, they're not even close to a deal right now.
And I said it in my monologue, Dan. I mean, if they're going to consider, which is embarrassing and an absolute huge non-starter, if you ask me, the idea of raising taxes to pay for some of those things, I just can't believe that the Republicans are actually thinking about it. I mean, that is a lesson that we learned with George H.W. Bush, and it should never be done again.
I agree, and I don't see that happening. Look, I know the common thing is tax the rich, right? But the truth of the matter is that it's not everyone against the rich. People are for themselves. So if they're going to get a tax benefit, what do they care what happens with the rich? I mean, that's kind of a point that's out there, Scott. But in reality, all that people care about is their own pocketbook. So you have to make that work.
And we have to stabilize that stock market, and we have to get those things running. And I think this is the if I was making a cake, this is the things I'd bake in with. This is what he needs to have happen. We have to get that tax cut, permanent over the line. Number one. Number two, you need to deal with China, India, maybe Japan, some big one in the next 2 weeks to make sure that that's my second thing. And to get all of these rhinos in line, because this thing, as it goes on, I'm worried about some people starting to turn on them. What do you think?
Yeah, that's possible. And don't forget, with such a small margin, you have just a couple, literally, of Republicans that can hold the whole bill hostage. So once you give in to one side, which is diametrically opposed to the other, now you're getting everybody mad. So this is really a slippery slope. And I agree with you. You need a big name deal on the tariffs. If you ask me who that is, I would say their best shot is probably India.
Yep.
Because of the personal relationship between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi. That's their best shot.
And I think that would also send a message to China, too, if we can get India on our side there. That would also be something that would probably bother them as well. But so that's what we've got to get going here. And I mean, I'm glad that we had this talk, the first one of our hour-long show, because this is a huge one, and you're the perfect guy for it. So thanks for being on, Dan. Dan Geltrude coming to us from Nutley, New Jersey. All right, now let's take a look at those